Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Oracle Mornings. I'm your host, Amanda Johnson. Today, I want to talk about what synchronicities are and why you might keep seeing them, especially if they're just starting to show up for you. So, let's say, for example, you look at the clock and it's 11:11 again for the third time this week. And you think to yourself, is this something, or am I just noticing it because I want it to mean something? Or maybe you heard a certain song on the radio that you were just talking about with a friend, but you haven't heard it in years. You're not crazy. You're not projecting. You're just waking up. That question itself, that wondering, is this the beginning of something? Today we're going to give it a name and explore what it might actually mean. So we're talking about synchronicities, what they are, why they happen, what the most common ones look like, and how you can start paying attention to them in your own life. We'll also be pulling a card from the Sacred Rebels Oracle by Alana Fairchild. And I think that it's going to add a really meaningful layer to this conversation about synchronicities. So, if that sounds mystical to you in any way, let's try to boil it down and make it as simple as possible. A synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence when two things happening at the same time feel connected, even though there's no logical explanation for why. So you might just think it's a coincidence, but the difference is that there is some meaning. It stirs something within you. And the term was originally coined by a Swiss psychologist named Carl Jung. And he was the first to name this experience and noticed that his patients kept describing these meaningful coincidences, and he believed that they weren't random and that they actually pointed to something deeper at work. And I did a little bit more digging on Carl Jung just because I thought it was really interesting. And he actually came into the industry, or became a psychologist right around the same time that Freud was really gaining popularity and putting his theories out there as well. So he did work under Freud for a while, but they split at some point, and I just found that fairly interesting. Anyway, that was a little bit of a side note. So not every coincidence is a synchronicity, but you'll know the difference when it happens. For example, let's say there's a difference between randomly seeing a bird and seeing a specific bird at a moment when you were just thinking about someone who passed away. One is a coincidence, and the other basically stops you in your tracks. That's the difference. I know several people in my life who, for some reason, they have certain birds that come to mind, and it's almost always a cardinal or a blue jay. I would say the cardinal is probably more common when someone in their life has passed away. For me, I think of my dad when I see blue jays, and sometimes I see two together, and it's just really special. And it's another way to just feel connected to those ones that you've lost, or maybe feel like you're getting a little bit of hello. And synchronicities are one of the ways the universe gets our attention. But if we're not slowed down enough to see them and notice them, then they might just pass us by. So think of them as little taps on the shoulder or a gentle nudge from something bigger than us saying, hey, pay attention. You're on the right track. Or sometimes it's slow down. Something needs your attention. And they often show up most during times of transitioning or awakenings or deep inner searching. So it's not a coincidence that you're probably noticing more of these things right now, especially if you feel like you're at the beginning of that spiritual awakening, or if you've been in a season of feeling a little lost or searching for something more in your life. That searching opens you up to receiving these kinds of signals. So let's talk about some of the most common synchronicities that people come across or see. Repeating numbers is really, really widely recognized. And some people refer to them as angel numbers. A really common one is 1111. It's a very common one that people mention, but also 222, 333, 444. You glance at the clock at exactly that moment over and over, or you see it on a license plate. Maybe it's a page number, or it just feels like it's following you. I know I see 444 a lot on mailboxes, and if you listen to one of the last episodes, you know, like that's the one that makes me think of my father. But it's also, for me, especially 44 is one of those ones where I feel like I'm getting that little bit of a nudge that says I'm on the right track. Another example is with songs, hearing that exact right song at the exact right moment. So maybe you're thinking of someone you've lost and you turn on the radio and their favorite song is playing. Or possibly you're in the middle of a hard decision and a song comes on with lyrics that answer your question directly. That's not random. That's a synchronicity. Another is overheard conversations, catching a phrase that speaks directly to what's on your mind. Let's say you're sitting at a coffee shop and thinking about a decision. You're just sitting at a table by yourself, and the person next to you says something that answers your question perfectly, even though they have no idea you're listening. Another common one is with animals in nature. So a specific animal showing up repeatedly or at a significant moment. Like that cardinal appearing right after you've been thinking about someone who passed. Or butterfly landing on you during a hard moment. Animals have long been seen as messengers in spiritual traditions, and many people experience them in that way. Actually, one of my favorite oracle card decks is a spirit messenger oracle card deck. You've possibly heard me read from it before, and I'll try to read from it soon again because this reminds me of it. People in general is another example, just the right person showing up. Like maybe you're in the grocery store and you had been thinking of someone earlier that day and in they walk. Or you've thought about reaching out to someone and they text you within the next 10 minutes. It's too random to just be a coincidence. There's meaning there. Another way that you might experience some synchronicities is in dreams. You might receive guidance or clarity through a dream that feels different from the rest. And that's what happens. Some dreams just feel different, more vivid, more real, more significant. And sometimes the message in them is just undeniable and it's worth paying attention to. So here's the big question. Why do synchronicities happen? Let's say that the universe is just always communicating. I fully believe that. And synchronicities are one of the clearest channels for the universe to do so. Because we live in a world that is far more connected and intelligent than we give it credit for. And synchronicities are evidence that there is intelligence at work, or a reminder that we are part of something much larger than our individual lives. And I don't know about you, but when I think of that piece of being a much larger, part of something much larger, it makes me feel very supported. One of my mentors that I'm in a program right now, Kathy Heller, you may have heard of her. The one line that she uses that she learned from someone else is that I am someone because I am some of the one. Or you are someone because you are some of the one. And that's really powerful. That's a great one to sit with and just see if it stirs anything in you. And back to synchronicities. They happen most when we're open and paying attention. So it's not that synchronicities only started happening when you became spiritually curious. They were always there, but you are now paying attention. And the more you pay attention, the more you notice. They often arrive as confirmation that you're on the right path and to keep going. Make a brave decision and then something felt aligned but scary. And then something happens that feels like a nod from the universe, a sign that says, yes, that's confirmation. They can also arrive as redirection, however. Maybe there's something trying to get your attention. Sometimes it's a synchronicity that's actually a warning. Something keeps going wrong in the same area of your life. The same pattern keeps showing up. And it's not necessarily bad luck, but the universe trying to redirect you. And you really don't have to understand these fully to receive them or need a framework or theology around this. You just need to be willing to notice and stay curious. The meaning will often reveal itself over time. So one of our last episodes, we spent a lot of time discussing intuition and how it can sometimes go quiet within us and how we can hear it better. And one of the things to remember here is that synchronicities and intuition work hand in hand, because intuition is that inner signal where synchronicities are the outer signal. They're two sides of the same conversation, one happening inside you and one happening around you. And paying attention to the synchronicities is itself a spiritual practice. You don't need to do anything elaborate. Just start noticing. Maybe keep a small note in your phone or a journal and write down the ones that stop you. Over time, you'll see a pattern emerge and it will tell you something. I know that the journal that I created called the Daily Oracle Journal, it's a companion to doing oracle cards and then having a place to write down the messaging and how you reflect on the messaging. And there's also sections on each page that help you write and record who you thought of and also what synchronicities pop up. And I did that on purpose because once a card stirs something in you, then you'll see the synchronicities popping up around you, and it's great confirmation. And then what it does when you write it down like that, and you write and record these synchronicities, is you're giving your brain and your nervous system the evidence they are looking for. Because let's face it, our brains, our minds are always looking for the evidence in order to believe something. So there is your proof. Just keep track of it and train your mind to believe that it's true. I also believe that oracle cards are their own form of synchronicity because it always seems like the right card finds you at the right moment. And it's one of my favorite things about working with oracle cards because out of an entire deck, there are often 40 to 50 cards in a deck. You pull one card and it speaks directly to exactly what you needed to hear today. That's not random. That is definitely a synchronicity. And synchronicities invite us into a more trusting relationship with life. When you start noticing that the universe is communicating with you, even in the smallest ways, it becomes harder to feel completely alone or lost. There's a sense of being held, of being guided, even when that path isn't fully visible yet. And it gives us a sense of trust that everything's going to be okay and that you are safe to follow the nudges and know that, you're really not in it alone. There is support and guidance available. So this is a great time to move into our oracle card reading for the day. And today I am pulling from the card deck called Sacred Rebels Oracle by Alana Fairchild. And this one is Guidance for Living a Unique and Authentic Life, which sounds so beautiful. Funny enough, today, talking about synchronicities, I pulled the card number 44. And if you were listening to one of our latest episodes, you'll know that 44 and 444 have been my numbers for probably about the last 6 years or so. And it just always makes me laugh when it comes up because I happen to be talking about synchronicities. The card I pulled today is called Visions of Life Beyond Death. And the beautiful image on this is a woman with silver hair, looks like she's deep in meditation, and on top of her head, there's an owl, a peacock, and a raven. And I will try to post a photo of this on my Instagram if I remember so that you can see it. And if for some reason you go there, you don't see it, and you really are interested in the artwork of these decks, always just feel free to reach out to me. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at Oracle Mornings, or an email at hello@oraclemornings.com. So go ahead. Take a deep breath in and out. Put your hand on your heart. Close your eyes if you can. And here's the reading. Visions of life beyond death. Sacred vision is awakening within you. You are becoming blessed with the ability to truly see. To see what is real rather than what appears to be. This is true insight. What was once considered consequential may soon be found to hold little consequence after all. What was once dismissed as an irritation or irrelevance may be seen to have great spiritual significance. As mundane as something once appeared, it could now be worthy of absolute attention. The gift of genuine vision takes you into the being of the universal creator. This is sacred terrain beyond logic, convention, and that which is limited in any way. The more open you are to receiving true vision, the more love you will feel and recognize within and around you. Something may appear to change form, to be shed, to be lost, or to die, but there is love within it always. This realization doesn't remove the pain of the loss. It does provide a way through, which it can be healed and eventually transformed into peace. The vision of love, the truth of all that is, can move us more than anything else possibly can. If you have been wondering about your life path, or whether you should take action on a project, or you need inspiration to really move you out of a slump you have fallen into, then this oracle brings you a message of hope. You will receive your vision. You will be graced with a way out of the stagnancy. You will be able to see things differently and more accurately. Any confusion or uncertainty you have felt is going to pass, and you will be left with clear insight. The stories you have been feeding yourself or telling yourself, may end up looking different to how they appear now. This may surprise you, but the vision that is coming to you will be more truthful and therefore freeing. It will be worth the shock, surprise, or the moment of embarrassment when you realize you have been operating under a false assurance or deluding yourself about the truth of a situation. Those moments will pass, and they are not something to feel bad about. They signify that you are leaving behind a smaller view for a more expansive one. They are a sign that you have outgrown your old vision in order to live in a bigger one. This is good. There might be a moment when your ego feels a bit dented, but sure enough, that too will pass. This oracle comes with additional guidance for you. You are being watched over by life and held in protection. Whatever has been bothering you will not be able to harm you. You will prevail. If you are concerned that someone is getting away with something or blocking your path, and it seems there is nothing you can do about it, don't worry. The all-seeing eye of life perceives everything without exception. It is the universal mother with eyes not only in the back of her head, but in every living cell of life itself. She misses nothing, and the truth of her vision will always be met with justice, mercy, and wisdom. This oracle is also asking you to shift your perspective and look at an issue of concern a little differently. If you don't know how to do this, simply add the following statement to the end of the healing process we'll be sharing below. I call upon the universal eye to show me the most helpful way to see this situation of concern now. In shifting how you look at things, the energy in what is beheld changes. You can see this with people. When you shame and judge someone, they react differently to when they are loved and encouraged. They may succeed nonetheless, but the journey to that success will be different. Looking at something through the eyes of love rather than fear can help us find our way more quickly, easily, and enjoyably. This oracle comes with the additional message that your ability to perceive is expanding into truth. Your ability to be inspired and see the light in all things is unfolding. It must be nourished in your heart with loving acceptance, because you are going to help others through your vision, your art, and how you choose to be in the world. The healing process below will help you accept and anchor this developing gift. Here is the healing process. Say this aloud if you can, and you may even want to record it so that you can say it and listen to it later. I now release any fear I have associated with seeing truth, with seeing beyond the veil of illusion, or with my inner vision opening up from my heart, mind, and body. I release any wounding I have received in relation to what I have witnessed at any time, especially where it is based in the fearful responses of others. I ask that my vision to be restored to its fullness through compassion and unconditional love. So be it. Go ahead and take a moment to reflect on this message. This message is very, very powerful for where many of you may be in your spiritual journey. I know it is for my own, and I needed to hear this message today, and I hope that it stirred something just as deep within you, because life can feel really hard sometimes, and I know that some people are going through what's referred to as a dark night of the soul. You may be there. That may be how you found this podcast in the first place. You know something big is shifting, but you also know it's not necessarily a bad thing. And this message speaks so strongly to that. I'd also like to reread a line from that card. What was once dismissed as an irritation or irrelevance may be seen to have great spiritual significance. And the card is essentially a definition of what synchronicities are and why they matter. It couldn't be more perfectly aligned with today's topic. And I want you to notice something. We just spent this entire episode talking about the things we've been dismissing. The numbers, the songs, the little moments, and how they might actually be meaningful. And then we pull a card that says exactly that. That right there is a perfect example of a synchronicity. The card also speaks to vision expanding and your ability to see more than what's on the surface. And that vision is opening up. The card is telling you that you're in a period of awakening perception. The fact that you're starting to notice synchronicities isn't you going looking for more meaning when there isn't any. It's your vision expanding and you're learning to see more, which is super exciting. And then the line about things being shed or falling away connects how you may be in a season of loss or transition. So if something in your life has felt like it's ending or falling apart, the card offers a great reframe. There's love within. It's not just loss. It's also clearing space and making room for the new vision to arrive. So there's some info in there about clarity coming is a beautiful reassurance if you've felt confused too. So if you've been in that foggy, unsettled, in between space we talked about it, this card is speaking directly to you. The confusion is like a pause, and clarity is hopefully on the way. So trust the process you're in, because it is a process and it's going to ebb and flow. So if something in you stirred when I read that card, if a word landed or something felt like a yes or even a no, or maybe you felt a little emotional and you're not sure why, pay attention to whatever stirred within you, that piece. It's not random. It's exactly what we've been talking about today. That is a synchronicity happening in real time. So to wrap things up, let's head to our reflection questions. And remember, it's always great to journal on these if you can, or record them on your voice app on your phone so that you can listen to them while you're in a walk or a run. So think back over the past few weeks. Have there been any moments that felt like more than a coincidence? And what were they? Maybe you dismissed them at the time, and that's okay. Go back and look at them now with fresh eyes and see what you notice. The second one, is there an area of your life where the same pattern or message keeps showing up in different forms? Sometimes synchronicities aren't a single moment, they're a theme. The same word keeps appearing, the same situation keeps repeating. Ask yourself, what is it pointing to? And lastly, what would change if you started treating the signs around you as messages rather than coincidences? So not just in a way that makes you anxious or hypervigilant, just with a gentle openness. What if it means something? What if you're being guided? Again, I always encourage you to go back to curiousness because it's a way more fun than anxiousness. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you feel excited to see more synchronicities in your life. Feel free to share them with me because I love to hear them and the different ways that you see them or feel them or hear them. And so if today is, helping you out, or if it stirred something else in you and you feel like, yes, this is definitely happening to me, also check out that free guide I created called 5 Signs You're Beginning a Spiritual Awakening, because it's definitely a great companion to this work. And you can grab it at oraclemornings.com/awakening. And I also mentioned that journal earlier that I created called the Daily Oracle Journal. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well, should you be interested in checking it out, because it's also just a great companion to Oracle cards. Have a beautiful weekend, and we will chat again soon. Take care.